Last week, our channel got almost 1,000 subscribers in a single week, which is crazy because we normally do like 200 or 300 new subscribers a week. But for like the last couple of weeks, we've been close to 1,000 for 2-3 weeks in a row. That's pretty crazy. And we've done a couple of things to kind of switch some stuff up because we noticed, early on in 2025, we started to notice that there were some lags. The algorithm seemed to be shifting a little bit, and a lot of that has to do with some of the AI stuff that's recently come out. But we kind of cracked that code and got around that. But this is something that a lot of people have been struggling with, at least people who I've been speaking to, my clients, other creators. It's just the subscriber count goes up so slow on YouTube. And the main reason it goes up slow is just because it's really not as prominent and pushed as, say, like a follower on Instagram. On Instagram and on TikTok, like that's the big thing, is to follow somebody. The little button, it's very intuitive. It's just right there. And I just feel like people can browse without logging in to YouTube. And so a lot of people just either they'll use their TV. There's so many other devices. That's the other thing, Instagram and TikTok and these other devices, or these other apps, I should say, they're really exclusive to a phone. And so you don't really have as hard of a time finding the follow button. Like it's the same on every screen pretty much. So it's not as intuitive to actually follow or subscribe to somebody on YouTube. You have to kind of do a couple of little extra things to get that extra amount of engagement from a viewer, and you have to do a little bit more on YouTube. However, that being said, a subscriber on YouTube means a lot more than a follower on Instagram or a TikTok, if you ask me. So I'm just going to go through these really super quick. I have some notes here. I actually have a full guide on this if you want it. I'm going to go ahead and link it down below if you want to grab it, because I'll do it all in detail there. But these are 10 easy ways that you can increase your subscriber count really, really fast. Now, before I get into this, let me just say your first 1,000 subscribers are the hardest to come by. And then after that, it goes so, so fast. In fact, I just had a call with some of our accelerator clients, is what that group is called. But I just had a call with them today, and one of the women that was in there said, yeah, actually, I just hit 1,000 subscribers really recently. And then randomly I logged in today and I'm already past 2,000. And that's always how it happens for people, as they get to the first 1,000, because the first 1,000, you're really in discovery mode. And YouTube is still trying to figure out your audience up until about the 1,000 mark. And then it's just explosive because it's really easy to tell who your avatar is and the person who actually aligns with your video style the most. So YouTube is very clear on who it wants to send it out to. And at that point, it's just rinse, repeat. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. So that first 1,000 definitely is going to be your hardest. But then after that, it's going to be so much easier. And before you know it, you're just multiplying your subscriber count pretty much overnight. So let's talk about 10 ways. Now, I am going to go through these. The way that I structured this was I did them in order of ease. And then the ones towards the end, though, even though they're a little harder, they do make the most impact. So I'd say number 7 and number 10 are probably the most impactful out of everything. So let's go through these. So number 1, you need to make your videos a little bit more interactive. So if you're not actually asking for subscribers and asking for comments and engagement, you're probably not going to get them. So not to say that you should be inserting this in every second of your video and every segment as you go through it. You shouldn't be talking about that, because that's not what the video and the value is, right? But you do need to ask for it. So at the very beginning, find a way to be like, hey, and if you like videos like this, make sure you subscribe. Okay, so let's go look at the first house. Sometimes just saying the word subscribe reminds people, oh yeah, I can follow this person on YouTube. So you have to actually ask for that. And if you don't ever ask, you probably will never get subscribers. Or I shouldn't say never. Never say never, but it is a lot slower when you don't actually ask for it, because people just need that. We have such a short attention span. Just watching the video takes all of our brain energy. So we have to actually be asked and prompted to go and take an extra step. Number 2, post in your community tab. This one is super underutilized, but it's really easy to do, and everyone has access to the community tab now, which is really cool. That actually used to be exclusive to, I think you had to have 1,000 subscribers for that too, just the same as monetization, but now they've opened that up to everybody. So now, you can put like posts. In fact, I could show you what ours looks like just so that you can kind of get a sense of what that looks like. I've got like 1,000 bazillion tabs open right now, so it'll take me a second to get there. But that community tab is so easy to add stuff to. You can add, and in fact, you can announce your videos there too. So people will have a chance to engage there. Now the community tab, it will alert your followers first and your subscribers first, but other people can engage. And it's so interesting, especially when you put things like the polls are really powerful on the community tab. Pictures, like if you have closings with clients and stuff like that, it's just more proof of concept, which is really a great thing to have on a channel like this where everybody thinks that everyone's fake, right? Social media, everyone thinks, oh, they're an influencer, they're not real. The more real photos and real proof that you can show people, the better off you'll be. So yeah, I mean, that's a great way to interact with your clients, is to, create some stuff in your community tab. It just shows that you're a real human. And especially if you're talking back and forth with people, that's definitely going to make a huge difference. Here's our channel. And let's go into the post section right here. So yeah, you could do stuff like, you can do full calls to action here. You can, and people, we've got lots of likes on this. So engagement is engagement. If people engage with it, it tells YouTube, oh, this is somebody who'd be interested. Let's add them to that type of profile, to the type of people that we push these videos out to. Back to school. See, we've got comments on this. This is just a back to school post. And we just talked about top shopping destinations and we linked it to something on our blog. That was one that got good engagement. Let's see, this trivia, we had a lot of engagement on this one. We had lots of likes and we had 86 people answered a poll. I mean, so random, and yet 86 people engaged with our channel here. That's pretty powerful. You can also ask questions about, hey, what would you like to see on my channel? Now, at the very beginning, your community is going to be very small. So you probably won't get engagement on the first few posts that you throw out there, but just having a presence here, it can really push your videos out farther. So that's a great way to get subscribers when they see that you're, active in multiple ways on your channel. That just gives people that much more confidence. Okay, so let's talk about number 3. Number 3 is just to post more frequently. So easy in terms of just what it is. Easier said than done, I should say. So if you're only posting 1 video per week, try doing 2 per week for a little while. Or if you're doing 2 per week, try to do 3 per week for a little while. Just posting more frequently kind of wakes up your YouTube algorithm and pushes your stuff out a little bit more because it just sees increased content. And then of course, just having more content out there is obviously going to give you more chances to be in front of people. Now, number 4 will help kind of tackle that number 3, because if you're struggling with just getting as many videos out as you are now and you're like, oh, I don't think I can edit anymore, I think that I'm just stacked for time right now, then go live. That's number 4. Go live a few times a month or once a week. Now, going live, a great thing about going live is that for those of you who are like, what do I even make my videos on when I can't do market updates and mortgage stuff or how to buy a house? That type of stuff does really well in a live setting because people are looking for timely stuff in a live video. So say that you have a market update that you want to do for the month of August. Then you can go in there and talk about market stats if you want to. And even if no one shows up, people will come back after the fact because it's in the live section, which is totally ranked differently than your regular videos. But it shows that you're uploading more content from more directions. And so YouTube is going to push your channel as a whole out farther because you're active in their live streams. So that's a great way to do it too. Kind of a sneaky way to kind of trick YouTube into pushing you out a little bit farther, which is kind of nice. So the lives takes very little effort. A lot of times doing what we call a versus series, those do so well. And so you can find another real estate agent in another market that's not competing with you and try to do like a pros and cons kind of back and forth with that person. We had that series going on for a really long time and that got us so many so much engagement. And I can tell you from experience that on every single one of those, after we had been consistent with it, at the very beginning, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of interaction. You just have to like get your reps in on that, just so that it will push you out far enough to be seen by new audiences. But after we'd been doing those for, I'd say probably only like 2 or 3 months, we started doing those consistently, and almost every single time we were getting leads within a couple of minutes of ending the live. Like people were texting us, hey, can we get on a call with you guys? Hey, can I schedule a meeting with you? So, I mean, that's a really good way to get instant leads too. And buyers and sellers are reaching out to you in the comments section after you do a live. So that's a really good way to do it. And almost every single time we see a huge boost in our subscriber rate almost instantly too. So if you want a really instant way going live, especially if you've been consistent and you have been running your channel up until this point, it's like not a brand new channel, you'll probably have some good success with that. That shows pretty instant results. Okay, so number 5. This one is exclusive to people who have at least been consistent for 90 days on their channel. You have to have some activity on your channel for 90 days and you've been somewhat consistent. You can consider sending your best performing videos to your email audience. That does not include your social media audience. No Facebook groups, no Instagram. I'm talking just your email database that is exclusively real estate clients or people who have been looking at your real estate content. That is a great way to get those people. They've already engaged with your content. They've already engaged with you. They've already given you their email address. So they're kind of warm at this point. You can send them your best performing videos. So that's a great way to do it. We've started doing that and we've seen a boost in our views from that. And they are good views, not just random views from random people. So again, you need to at least have 90 days of history on your channel. And you need to have been pretty consistent. Otherwise, this can kind of mess things up a little bit. Now, external traffic, I will say, external traffic is what that is called, where you have people coming from a different place outside of YouTube to look at your videos. That's considered external traffic. So external traffic and organic traffic they're kind of ranked a little bit differently. But if you're at the very beginning of a channel, you really want to get your customer profile from organic exclusively. So that's why I say wait until you've had at least 90 days of activity on your channel and you've been consistent with it. That way you're just adding to the overall color of your customer profile rather than writing a new one based on your email database, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, number 6, semi-script your videos. So semi-script meaning don't script the whole thing, but script very specific parts of it. Because when you actually script certain parts of your video, they're critical pieces of the video and it will help people stay longer on the video. So the longer you have people on your video and you have longer watch time, the more likely that those people are actually going to subscribe to your overall channel from there. So the first thing you want to script, like 100% script, is your hook. You need to have this nailed down because you have about 5 seconds to kind of do that initial hook. I call it the primary hook. And then you've got an additional 25 seconds to kind of seal the deal with that secondary hook. So you have 30 seconds total to convince someone to stay for the rest of your video or a good chunk of the video. If you don't capture somebody in those first 30 seconds, it really hurts the overall performance of the video because it tells YouTube if someone jumps off before that 30-second mark that this is a poor video. They didn't even watch very much of it, so they're not going to push it out to new audiences. So if you script that hook, you make that very, very powerful, quick moving, all of that good stuff, you're more likely to have a good performer. Bulleted body. So the body of your video, so say you're going to go look at 3 different houses and 3 different price points, just kind of bullet the high level points of things that you're going to talk about and then kind of free flow through those things because that will just make it a little bit more engaging. It will make it feel more relaxed for people who are watching it and not so stiff. And people expect once they're past that 30-second mark, people are kind of already sold on what you're going to be talking about. So you don't have to worry so much about retention in that middle section as long as you have good value to show. The speed is still important, but it's not as important as what you have in those first 30 seconds. So I would bullet the body so it still feels very free flowing and authentic, but you have good direction, because if you're confused about the direction of your video, then your client's also going to, or your viewer is going to also be confused about the direction, and they'll hop off. So you have to be crystal clear on where you're going, how much time you're really going to be spending on that, and what the purpose of that segment is. So just give some bullets for yourself to follow, and then you're not rambling. Kind of like what I'm doing with this video, right? Like I've got this guide here and I'm free flowing with you. I'm not scripted. I'm not teleprompted, but I am, looking at high level points so that we hit everything that we want to hit. And then the scripted payoff. So payoffs are basically what people should stay to the end of the video for. What the satisfaction that they get from watching the whole video, what they're going to learn, what the whole big idea is, and why they would need to watch the whole video to understand what that payoff is. So you want to script that as well. You want to make sure at least it's pretty well scripted at the very end of your video, so that you wrap it all up and you have an end point to the video. Those two things, the script or the hook and the payoff, are the two most important things. And if they don't tie together well, a lot of times you just kind of lose people because the direction on the video is not very good. Now, Subscriber AI is really, really good for this. This is a tool that we've started using especially on our shorter videos, but we still use it. We've used it on a few of our longer videos too. But it does all of the scripting on the hook and the payoff for you. And you can also put bullet points to the rest of the video too. So if you didn't want to do a full teleprompted word for word script, you can kind of pick and choose. They give you both a summary and a full word for word script. And so subscriber.ai, I can link that down in the description too, but that's a really good tool. And that will help you really have a very crystal clear direction of what your video is going to be about. I will tell you, since we started using that, especially on our shorter videos, it's made a huge impact on how far our videos go, because it makes our videos hyper focused on the hook and the payout. And those two things have changed everything for us. Okay, so number 7. Like I said, number 7 and number 10 are probably the most impactful. So these are really important. Number 7, you need to improve the video appearance, both from the thumbnail all the way to the editing. This is really important, because a lot of times it's not because there's not value in the video. It's because the value isn't very apparent to people. And we take value from things like the thumbnail and how quickly we're seeing a video move, and whether or not there's enough pop-ups that help us understand the content. So sometimes it's just an attention span thing for viewers. We just fail to appeal to that low attention span that most of us have. I mean, we have about that long to actually capture someone on a video. Thumbnails. The thumbnail is the billboard of your video. So if you don't have a good thumbnail that does not, perform well, you have a low click-through rate on that, it doesn't matter how good your content is, no one's going to actually watch the video anyway. So why would someone subscribe if they can't even get past your thumbnail, right? So the thumbnails, I actually have a whole other video on that. I will put that as the end card on this video so that you can watch that one next after you get done with this video. Yeah, there's 4 things that you have to have on your thumbnails. Only 4 things. As long as you have those 4 things on your thumbnails, they will always have a high click-through rate. So anyway, I'll link that at the end of this video. Video editing is another thing. So you have to make sure that you have enough pattern interrupts, and pattern interrupts are just like little text pop-ups when you say that this house is 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, right? And you actually are re-emphasizing the words that you're saying with the graphics on the screen. Having enough drone footage or driving footage, just different things that interrupt just you talking. This coaching video is a poor example of that, because I don't do a whole lot of editing on these coaching ones just because I like to get the information out to you. But on a real estate video, totally different industry, totally different avatar, that type of group, especially when you're making a huge move from an area that you've lived in your whole life, maybe that's what a lot of these people are, and they're relocating to a place that they've never seen before. You have to appeal to the visual side of people's brains, right? That creative side, because if they don't see it, smell it, taste it, they can't make that big of a decision without those types of sensory, re-emphasizing of those things. So you have to make sure that, you're adding enough of that stuff. And a lot of times just not having enough context in the form of drone footage and pop-ups and, pictures and all of that stuff, that will make it. And so people are like, well, I don't really feel like this person knows enough, or I don't feel like I've really experienced enough. And they should know from one video if they feel like they're getting value from your videos. They may not subscribe after one video, but I will say on our channel, people are watching more than one video. Our average right now is 1.5 videos that people watch when they come to the channel for the first time. So keep that in mind. That's something that you need to improve, and it will make a huge impact. Like I said, number 7, improve video appearance. One of the most impactful ones that will help your subscriber rate faster than anything. Really good editing. And I have a full course on that in case, by the way, if you want to look at that and to improve your editing skills and to improve the types of videos that you put out, I have a whole course on that. I have a free editing guide. All of that is down in the description. So that should really, really help you. Number 8, you need to add more structure and storytelling into your videos. That will help with the overall content and making sure that you're inserting your own stories, your own experiences. You're not just reading a bunch of facts off of a page. You're actually inserting your own experiences into it. That's going to help a lot. Also, storytelling in the form of music, that also helps people with their attention span. So make sure that you're editing, 4 to 5 tracks of music that go along with the mood of what you're talking about, as well. So you have to reemphasize these things on so many different cognitive levels, from, just the overall creative side of us, that storytelling piece that we need. You think about the Kardashians, think about how the music adds to the Kardashians. If you ever watch, an episode of that, when they're having drama, when they're having a fight, the music is a totally different sound than when they're going through something sad or emotional and they're all coming together at the end, or, at the very beginning, there's something funny going on. The music is completely different. You have to tell a story with the music as well. So you need to make sure you're doing that on multiple levels, not just with the words that you're saying. That will help a lot as well, because that is a really vibrant storyteller. That is somebody that's a character that you want to know more about, because there's multiple layers to that person. And we're really selling ourselves, not so much the information. People want to buy into us and trust us to work with them as they buy or sell their house. That's what matters to them, is the person, not so much the information. And then number 9, man, I should have added this to the super impactful ones too. This one is really important. So follow the 25-75 rule. You can also call it the 75-25 rule if you want to, but either way, 25-75 rule. 25% of your content should be super trendy, should be controversial perhaps, and it should be more of a higher level topic. So instead of talking about the top neighborhoods in Frisco, Texas, we're talking about the top neighborhoods in Dallas 25% of the time, right? The bigger area that we service. Or things I hate about living in Dallas, Texas. That's an overarching and a negative theme. And so it's a little bit controversial, right? 25% of the time. So if you are doing 4 videos a month, 1 video per week right now, then one of those videos out of every month should be one of those 25% groupings, right? So it should be trendy, controversial, attention grabbing, those types of topics that are just super high arching. The reason for that is because those 25% videos are capturing new audiences. We're talking to a broader group of people, not just people who are moving to Frisco, Texas. And so it makes it so much easier for us to talk to new people that we've never spoken to before. So 25% of our effort is on new audiences throughout the month. And 75% of that is trying to nurture the audience that we're already kind of talking to and who is already familiar with us. So 75%, like I said, I kind of spoiled the second part of that, should be those evergreen topics that we always talk about. So like the vlog of the different suburbs. You can do some property tours if you want to in that 75%. Pros and cons videos. Map tours, Google Map tours, where you go onto the map and you show people, okay, this is close to this. You're thinking about moving to Frisco, Texas. Well, in Frisco, we've got all these different restaurants, and there's a hospital right here, and there's a great place to go take your kids during the day, blah, blah, blah. So that's a map tour. So 75% of your content should be those regular pillars that we always talk about, right? And then 25% should be those trendy, kind of controversial, bigger idea topics. Okay. So that is a really good one. 25-75 rule. Okay. Number 10. This one is probably the one that will make the most impact, but it's probably the most amount of work. It is to try a 30-day completely wild content challenge for yourself. Meaning do something that is wildly different than you've done for the last 30 days and do more of it. So this content push would mean, so say that you're doing like you're really used to doing property tours and you love doing property tours. They're easy for you and you feel like you can do them quickly. Say that that's what you've been doing like 80-90% of the time. Well, instead of doing 80 to 90% of the time doing those property tours, switch it, do those 10% of the time and go do 80% map tours in your office and vlog tours of walking around suburbs. Switch it up. Do something totally different than what you've done before. That also can tie back into these other 10 that we've been talking about, doing a live video, adding more, making your editing just totally different styling, changing up your thumbnail style, whatever it is for the next 30 days, do something that absolutely is total polar opposite from what you have been doing before within the constraints that I kind of have talked about already, within the constraints of, the different content pillars that we always talk about and we harp on, not necessarily going backwards and trying to do all the stuff that most real estate agent coaches tell you to do, but you shouldn't be doing, right? Like the market reports and how to get a mortgage and how to buy a house. Those topics do not work on YouTube. They don't get you clients. So do a 30-day wildly different content push where you actually go out and you just do something completely different than what you've done before. So those 10 things should do a ton for your subscriber count. I've seen people put even just a couple of these, not even all 10 of them together at the same time, just one or two of these, picking these to do for the next 30 days or whatever. And it has completely transformed channels. I've seen videos go viral after just doing one or two of these things. And then their channel gains like 15,000 subscribers in a month. I've seen that happen before. So I know that these work, and we've seen these work on our own channel as well. We've done a lot of these changes just in the last like 6 months, because I don't know if you've not seen any of my other coaching or my other training videos. I've talked about how YouTube is now demonetizing and deprioritizing AI videos, especially like channels that were making videos purely with AI versus having, some type of human engagement in it. That's a problem, because we had some creators that were doing 300 different shorts a day and just flooding the YouTube feed, basing it on quantity rather than quality, right? And so because of that, they were getting all this priority and it was drowning out small creators like you and me. Well, that was happening over the last 6 months. So now they just made this huge algorithm change in June, and it should really, really help the small creator just like us get back on our feet and back in front of the right audiences, because that AI is now getting suppressed if it's, completely AI. I've already seen a ton of AI channels getting sold because they've been completely demonetized and deprioritized. So it makes it really hard for them to make money. Anyway, I digress. I'm not going to go too far into that. If you wanted to watch another video on that, I have another video on the whole AI algorithm. So you can check that one out. But otherwise, this is what you need to do if you are struggling with subscribers. I know this will work. One of these is going to work for you. And then, of course, feel free to, leave a comment if there's something that you feel like I missed out on and it's something that's really worked for you. Please do leave a comment for me. I'd love to hear it. And I will also drop this guide in the bottom of my description so that you can actually grab the full guide and start checking it off for stuff that you want to try for the next 30 days. At the end of the day, really it's about consistency and just getting better with our content, because we get a little bit lazy, we get in a groove, we get in a rhythm, and we're trying to create systems, right? And sometimes in the process of making systems and trying to make things a little bit easier for ourselves as creator, we do tend to get a little bit lazy with the content. We always need to be thinking about how to level up our content while also trying to do a little bit less work. And a lot of these will actually make you do less work in the long run, but give your viewers more value, which is what YouTube is really looking for. At the end of the day, the YouTube algorithm isn't super complicated. It's not this magic book that you have to decode. It's really just at its core, understanding your audience. And if you do a lot of these things, you're going to find that your audience loves you back and starts to really subscribe to your videos a lot faster.